Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is John Viglotti on behalf of OTC Markets, as well as our co-host, Skyline Corporate Communications Group. We're very pleased you joined us for our next live presentation from Ohmyhome Limited, a property technology platform. Please note you can submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides, and you can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Scheduled Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome our next presenter. She is Rhonda Wayne, Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of Ohmyhome Limited, which trades on the NASDAQ under the symbol OMH. Welcome, Rhonda.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm Rhonda Wong, the CEO and co-founder of Ohmyhome. So I'm going to get started in sharing Ohmyhome. So Ohmyhome is a property one-stop shop. And all right, so I'm sorry, there's been some technical difficulties. But we have recently been listed on the NASDAQ on the 21st of March. And we started trading at a price of $4. Now, most of the Ohmyhome shares, if you look on the right side, is very much insider held by insiders of about 85%, and then our public float is around 15%. Now, very quickly, Ohmyhome at a glance, we are a property one-stop shop. So how you can think about us is that if you are a seller, so you're trying to sell your home, what a typical person would usually do. Now we're talking about an average person who's looking to sell their home for the first or second time. Now, usually, such a seller would begin by researching, and this research would begin with asking questions such as how much can I sell my home for? How much cash will I receive from selling my home? And how do I go about doing that? Now, at Ohmyhome, on the research portion, you'll be able to do all of that. All of this information, all of these evaluation tools are built in-house, and it's free of charge for the use of all of our customers. Now, after that research is done, now 50% of our customers will tend to DIY. So by DIY, it means that you are going to post your home for sale. You're going to post pictures. You're going to go about using the guide to learn how to sell your home all yourself. Now, in the States, we often call this FSBO, which is for sale by owner. And on our platform, we call it a DIY. Now, some others would then, in fact, the majority of customers where we are in Singapore, Malaysia, and the Philippines would usually choose to use an agent. Now, uh, these agents are no different from the agents that you use in the States, in the sense of they will be there to view your property, they'll get your property ready, they'll conduct the viewings, negotiations, documentations, and so forth. Now, the key difference with Ohmyhome is our technology. And what that means is that our agents are similar to an Uber driver. Now, what that means is when we talk about customer acquisition, the matching of buyers to sellers, the entire making sure of the viewing appointment and so forth. It's all done by Ohmyhome's technology. The agent showing up is like an Uber agent, an Uber driver, and this person will actually just show up at your property, and then they will then conduct the viewing. Now, thereafter, the documentation, follow-up, invoicing process is again done by our technology. Now, we also have the mortgage portion that helps our customers compare all mortgages across 13 banks at a glance. We have law firms that we partner with. They advertise with us, which allows us to then make sure that the deal is completed smoothly. And finally, the renovation or the interior contracting process is that at Oh My Home, you can be sure that we really serve you in your entire journey, from the sourcing of your home to building of your dream home, or from the selling of your home to finding the next perfect place for yourself. Now, we're very proud to share that in the renovation contracting world, where delays are very frequent, Oh My Home has a 2-year clean track record of on-time delivery. Now, Oh My Home is started by Ray Fong and myself, and we are sisters. We are actually born Malaysians and migrants. And in this entire process of, being, migrants from very humble beginnings, moving into Singapore, we actually moved homes over 20 times. So there were years when I was really young that we didn't even couldn't even afford to live together. And then over the years, as we help our parents' businesses, we work together as a family. And finally, things got better, we got a place, and then when there's a financial crisis, we sell our home and rent a small place. So that went on for a bit until my teenage years, where as a family we did better financially. So I went to school in Michigan. I worked in Chicago as a derivatives trader. So we have this view about home, where it's really the foundation of a safe place for any person. So we have this vision that we wanted to start a company that is completely trusted and comprehensive property solution for everyone. And the only way we could deliver that at scale would be via technology. Now, here are some of the highlights and challenges of our business. So some of the highlights are that despite all of this economic uncertainties in the global market and the rising interest rate, the reality is, in where we are in Southeast Asia, we see that actually the market in real estate is still extremely vibrant, still a booming market, and projects are pulling off very well. Um, the main reason for that is the rising middle class. So you can see this population actually has been increasing, over the years, in spite of all these uncertainties, and income is also rising in the three markets that we are operating in. So despite all of this high interest rates, we still see a very, very strong and robust market. And finally, with no surprise, there's an extremely high mobile penetration rate and that connectivity, which allows people to leapfrog from where they are right now into a world where, at the touch of their fingertips, be able to access transparent information and a one-stop information that can be trusted and that is honest. Now, on this slide, you'll see the traction of Oh My Home at a glance. I'm going to start going through each or one of them. And I'm going to first start with our transaction numbers. So we have transacted over 13,500 properties with a gross transaction value of $2.7 billion. The reason this value is high, the number of transactions is high, is even though Singapore is a very small country, in just Singapore alone, the gross total available market in both the transaction and the renovation scene is actually at $8 billion. And we're talking about just Singapore alone. We have not talked about other markets in Malaysia and Philippines, and these are places that we're just about to start having stronger revenue and market share in. Now, the other reason that we've been doing very well, you can see on this slide, is that the larger the circle, the higher the revenue. So the closer you are to the transaction, the higher the revenue. So you can see that on the bottom left is a gray circle, which is for advertisers, and the likes of Zillow. And we have a lot of marketing list models across the world. Now, our business is not in advertising. And you'll find that today a lot of advertising platforms are moving towards the revenue portion. Now, the good thing is that at On My Home, we have been in the revenue portions where you see the orange and dark yellow color since day one. We are very focused on real estate transactions, and right now the other half of our revenue is coming from the renovation portion. Now, all of this has resulted in some amazing results that we have achieved over time. And that is 7 days is what it takes for 50% of our properties to transact. Now, that is a very, very, very fast pace in Singapore because the average time to transact here is over 130 days. So, right now, we're mainly transacting in 7 days, and most of our other properties will transact within 30 days. We're able to do that with our technology, and you'll see that because of that, our super agents, akin to your Uber drivers, will be transacting over 11 times of the transaction volume of a typical average freelance agent in the market. Now, that's all thanks to the 700,000 over downloads that we have and over 200,000 monthly active users on our platform. Now, this means that as a company, we do not function like a freelance agent where you have to advertise and you start waiting for the buyers to show up. What we do as a company is that we aggregate all of these buyers together, and then when we have a property to sell, we then match it to all of these buyers. And this allows us to have a very strong gross profit margins of over 50%. Now I'm gonna move into the examples of when I talk about the quick matches. I'm going to show you how we're able to do that with our in-house algorithm known as Match, and how we're able to then match with speed and accuracy. So over on this slide, bear with me, there seem to be a little bit of things going on, but mainly at the top left, you'll see that this is where we aggregate all of our data, our referrals, our web, our portals, every single data that we collect over time. We then get to aggregate them into our qualified buyers pool known as our match algorithm. Now, this is where the cool thing and the magic happens. So if you have a property for sale in Singapore today, now, with just your property address, we will then match back into our potential buyer pool. We know quite a bit of things about these buyers. We know if they have mortgage in principle approval, what their budget may be. We know what kind of location, what kind of size of home they're looking for. And with all of these details, it allows us to provide very accurate matches. And we generally try to hit about 8 buyers to come for one viewing. And usually what happens here is that in that one single viewing, we will receive between 0 to 3 offers. And one person will successfully buy the property. And all of this happens within 4 hours from viewing time at 2 o'clock, offering time at 4 o'clock, and the deal is generally closed at 6 p.m. in the afternoon. Now, here we have some people. We have one guy who's super happy he bought his home, but we have 2 persons who made an offer and didn't get the property. And then we have also 5 other people that came to view, but they didn't make an offer. All of this information is very, very precious. We send this all back into our algorithm, and what that allows us to do is to then make more accurate matches to our next property and so forth. Now, it also allows us to continue upselling our mortgage, legal, and renovation throughout this process, and having this goal that we will serve a customer for a lifetime. Now, something my co-founder Race and I are so proud of is that we are the highest rated platform in the entire country, in the entire region. We have over 8,000 5-star reviews, and these are genuine reviews. We have never paid for them. We are quite particular about that. We want to make sure that when our customers are happy, they truly are, and we have been quite successful and blessed about that. Now, our customers love us because of many strengths of ours, but here are the 3 key ones. Now, the first one is that we have an integrated platform. Now, it seems like, yes, we're a one-stop shop. We take care of customers. The idea may be quite commonsensical, might be quite logical, but the reality is this is a very unique model that is not frequently seen around the world. And customers like the fact that we really take care of them throughout the entire process. Now, the second part is our strong execution, as you can see from our number of transactions hovering at 13,000, our GTV, as well as our customer satisfaction ratings. And finally, we have unmatched technology in terms of our speed, our accuracy, our matches, and all of this is actually highly scalable. So, the common question we often get is that now that we have listed Ronda Race, where are you guys going to? We definitely have a global ambition, and we want to continue to expand across the world. And here are the top three strategies, which is increasing market share in our current three markets. We want to work harder to make sure that in terms of marketing, in terms of lead generation, we want to be serving more people. We also want to continue acquiring companies that could be very beneficial to our growth. And this could be companies who are directly in touch with customers who fit within our one-stop shop. These are companies that are currently in the life cycle of our customers and allows Ohmyhome to seamlessly fit within it. And finally, we want to increase our service offerings. So some of the MOUs that you've seen in the news lately would include Ohmyhome announcing an MOU of to acquire in Philippines. And Philippines is a huge and massive market for us in terms of number of transactions, population of 110 million people, and a strong rising middle class. We also have an MOU for an acquisition of a leading property management company. Now, property management in Singapore is different from the States. In Singapore, a property management tool means that this tool will predominantly take care of a multifamily development. So people or residents who live in the development will use the app or the management to pay their fees, their maintenance fees, register their car, their pets, book their facilities such as tennis courts and so forth. This is a platform that allows us to get into the lives of the residents directly. We also have a latest feature, which is known as Homer AI. And what Homer AI allows us to do is very much that it allows you to ask any question to Homer to get to know about your property. So that could be instantly knowing within the minute what your property is worth, what are the past transactions, the recent transactions, how much cash will you be receiving if you're selling your home. So Homer is going to be your favorite and your best buddy in real estate because he's going to answer you questions accurately and with extreme speed and efficiency. Now, finally, we have our 2022 financial highlights. We have transacted over close to 3,400 properties in 2022 with a GTV of $600 million. Our agents are transacting about 75 properties a year. Now, this is a huge number compared to the average agent. And the reason is because the average agent in the market actually around the world transacts about 0 to 5 properties a year. And here at Ohmyhome, we're transacting 75. Now, in terms of revenue last year, we were at $5.2 million, 55% in brokerage margin, and quite a significant amount of our revenue is actually coming from our emerging services, which is our renovation portion. So this is the part that we are going to continue growing, and we see a lot of potential in there, and definitely we're interested to acquire and expand further in this category. Now, in terms of our revenue, you'll see that generally we've been very good as a startup in terms of growing over the years. So in terms of revenue in 2021, we've grown by 32%, and in 2022, we've grown by 60%. For the adjusted EBITDA margin, in 2021, we were at negative 48%, and we narrowed our losses in 2022 to negative 37%. In terms of our path ahead, we have spent the early years in 2016, 2017, proving our concept, generating revenue, which is good for us as a startup. A lot of startups are not quite concerned about revenue initially, so we don't have a very high burn rate as a tech company. Now, in the last few years, we have been investing a lot of our funds into building technology that allows us to transact with high efficiency and to allow us to build cool things that are very useful to our consumers, like Homer AI. But in the next few years, you'll definitely see us increasing our market share, acquire companies, and increase our service offerings as we continue to work towards being the leading one-stop shop. Now, the board and management team comprises of Race and myself. We've been in real estate industry for over 10 years now, and before Oh My Home, we were largely in management of investors' real estate portfolio, and we transacted in over 7 countries. So we are very, very familiar with the challenges and the opportunities in real estate. We also have our chairman, David, and other independent directors such as Wei Lun, Lim Kun, and Galvin. These are very established individuals in tech startups, law, as well as real estate. So we come to the end of my presentation, and I would be very happy to take your questions. So please let me know if there's any.
Yes, Rhonda, there are some questions on the left side of the screen.
So we have Dave. Can you discuss your plans for geographic expansion and challenges of porting your platform to other countries? Now, thank you very much, Dave. Now, our plans for geographic expansion, I think we will mainly focus on first-tier cities for the time being, both in Asia as well as across the world. Ever since our IPO and listing on NASDAQ, it's been fantastic because we've received a lot of interest across the world. We are actually talking to different tech platforms as well as brokerages to ensure that as we expand into each market, we will be able to ensure that with each expansion, we have the right partners and allows us to enter the market swiftly without having to grow from scratch organically. The challenges of porting our platform to other countries, not so much in the sense of challenge, because usually in terms of our tech expertise, which is all in-house, it would take us about 3 to 6 months to adapt and localize to each market. Transactions, rules and regulations may be different in each country, but the basic foundation and the skeleton of the transaction, the steps and the technology required in terms of what you heard me share about the matching of the buyers and the sellers, these are fundamentally very, very similar. And any plans to enter the US market, we're very open towards that. So we currently have actually given the word out that we would love to talk to companies that are relevant to us. We also know that tech winter is here and there are companies that are running out of funds. So we're definitely waiting for our opportunity to continue to find the right targets. And if we have the right target and the right partner, we wouldn't say no. I love being in the US, so it's been exciting for me to visit it more frequently now than before. Now, in terms of our major milestones, Anderson, for the next 12 months, it's very much acquisitions in Singapore, potentially Malaysia, and also growing Philippines, because that is our latest market. Philippines has about 800,000 transactions by our last research count. So it's a massive market, it's booming, and we definitely want to increase our service offerings in the overseas market, because tools like you see in terms of our evaluation, our Homer AI, these are tools that we want to have across the entire Ohmyhome platform. So one person could be sitting in one country and be able to sell or purchase or invest in properties around the world with one single platform that they can trust. Because today, while there are a lot of large brokerages around the world, the reality is when it comes to residential properties, they do not talk to one another. And when we're talking about your largest franchise models, they still don't talk to one another. And it can be very frustrating because imagine today, Anderson, if you were to invest in the Philippines, and when the property is ready, when the construction is done, who is going to rent it out for you? Who's going to manage it for you? You might be talking to a stranger that you've never met before, but today with Ohmyhome, you will consistently be served by one company in any of the countries that we're operating in. And that's about it for questions. Well, thank you everyone very much. If you go to Ohmyhome, www.ohmyhome.com, and you scroll all the way to the bottom, we have a tab for investors. And if you register your name there, you'll be able to stay up to date with all of our news, all of our new acquisitions and expansion plans. And we definitely love to hear from you. and would love to be able to continue to keep in touch. Thank you very much. I'm gonna say goodbye here unless there are any more questions at this stage. The other thing I thought I could share with our American market is that in Singapore, as a Singaporean, if I were to buy multiple properties, so say myself, I'm a Singaporean passport, if I were to buy a property today and as my third or fourth property, I have to pay about 30% in tax on top of the property value. So $1 million of property, I would have to pay $300,000 of tax on top of the $1 million property. But you as Americans, you get to buy this property that's $1 million at round about $1 million. So your tax would be about $24,000. So it is a huge advantage for Americans that other foreigners don't get to enjoy. So if you were a different country's nationality, say you're from Malaysia, you would have to pay 60% in tax. So we're talking about a difference of $600,000 between someone holding a Malaysian passport and someone holding an American passport. This is something exciting for us, and one of the news that you'll see from Ohmyhome that's just recently been released is that we are now, Ohmyhome is now open to Americans purchasing properties in Singapore, Malaysia, and the Philippines. So one of the things that we'll be doing when we visit America again in October is we'll be potentially hosting Singapore property seminars so that we get to share about this advantage to Americans and be able to do more cross-border transactions for yourselves. So feel free to browse our platform, which is www.ohmyhome.com, and you'll find a lot of very interesting things offered by Ohmyhome. And we focus on buy, sell, rent, as well as mortgage, legal, and renovation. If there's anyone, we have open slots for one-to-one meetings. So if anybody is interested, please just feel free to text us or register with us. We're more than happy to jump on a call after this with you.